Welcome back, everyone. We're working on the framework behind a role-playing game and really talking about object-oriented programming. And one of the things that we have done already is create this base class called entity that has a name and a description. And then we created a derived class, an item, which is a type of entity that extends the entity. What I want to do now is clean up some of this output because this is a lot of extra code. And I was thinking it would be nice if we could have a toString method that would just represent all of the details about our object. And instead of where it says thing1.getName, I'm going to put thing1.toString. I want to show you the toString method. And then we had get1. We also had a w2. So I'm going to add some more. I'm going to put output plus equals. We're going to put two new lines. And then we're going to put thing. Actually, instead of even thing2, I'm just going to put plus thing2 dot toString. Do I not have a, oh, it's a w1 and w2. Excuse me. w1 dot toString. And then output plus equals w2 dot toString. And I want to show you what toString does natively, and then I want to show you how we can improve it to display it. So let's just go ahead and run the emulator now and see what that looks like. Well, after about 2 or 3 minutes of it building the project the first time, we now have our toString method, and here it is. Our toString is this com dot blah, blah, blah. It's basically the package with a dot and the name of the class at, and then this is a memory address. This is where it's stored in memory using a hexadecimal code. So that's a very useless toString method for what we want to do. If I want to display all the stats of any given object, I'm going to want a better toString method. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a toString method override. So we're going to take that toString and we're going to make it display something that is helpful for us to look at. So let's do that. Oh, I should not have closed my emulator.
Good job.
Don't do that. Don't do what I just did. Instead, leave that emulator running. I'm actually going to go ahead and run it, and while it's running, I'll work on the code. So I'm going to leave these toString methods the main activity method exactly as is. We're going to go to the entity, and in our entity, we are going to create our toString method override. So again, it's called method override. toString. Okay. So in order to do the method override, you make it public because that's what it is. Oh, wait, before we do, it's an override. So we're going to put at override. And then you're going to do public string to string like so. And we got to make sure we return a string, and we got to create our string. We're going to put string output equals, and we'll just go ahead and initialize that output. Let's just go ahead and return output, because if we don't do that, it gives us that underline, and that's just kind of annoying, and who likes that? Not me. All right, so in our entity, we're going to add a couple things to our output. Type entity, like so. Output. Now, it's up to you how you want to do it. You might want to format this a little differently, and that is your choice. Name. I'm going to put plus name. Description plus description, like so. And really, that's it. You need that add override. It's public string toString. It's the same exact name as the toString method we saw over here, thing1.toString. And since entity is our base class, this toString override is going to work on both of our objects. So let's go ahead and test it out again. And there we go. So we have our first entity, type, entity name, thing1, description. Okay, we have some problems with our line returns. Let's clean that up. So I put a \n before name, \n before description. And then let's go ahead and run that again. It should be able to load a lot quicker this time when I leave the emulator up and running. And sure enough, there we go. Name, thing1, description, fun-loving thing with wild hair. Entity is the type, acts of destiny. Now look at, they all say they're type entity, even though the first thing is not an entity. And then I'm going to clean this thing up a little bit too. \n, like so. And let's do the same thing for our item.java. Okay, so we go to the end of our last method, and we'll do our toString override. So at override, public, string to string, like so. And we're going to have to do pretty much the same thing we did here with some additions. Unfortunately, it's not like our constructor where we can just call super and have it do that. And notice what happens here. First of all, it's not an entity anymore. This is an item. And it doesn't like name. That's because name is part of the base class. So instead, what I have to do is I have to call the get name here. And instead of description, it's going to be get description. Like so. All right. Now we also have we have cost and durability and a bunch of these other things here. Cost, durability, and weight. And of course, I'm going to proceed to do the rest of this. And you don't need to watch me type. Okay, so I went ahead and added all of these. We put description, we have cost, and in this case I put a little $sign, you know. And then durability is just going to be a number. Weight, I went ahead and added pounds at the end. Let's now run this, and you will see how in the case of the entity, it gives you less detail, and an item, it will give you more. And here we go. There it is. I think I should probably put a little space before pounds. But you can see it's now working. So our entity only has a name and description, but our items have name, description, cost, durability, weight, etc. So now we can see that in the case here, we've got a lot more information that we can use. So again, and all we have to do to call this toString and get all this specific detail is the following. Whatever the object name is, .toString. I don't know why I called those items W1 and W2 now, but that's what I did, so go figure. So that's called an override. Override means we're going to take a method like this toString. Don't know what I just did there. Take a method like toString and we make it behave differently. We produce a different type of output from the original. So we're changing the way toString works. That's what an override is, as opposed to an overload, which is where we take something like a constructor or some method and we give it a different set of parameters. So it's method overload if you're changing the number of parameters. It is a method override if you're changing the way it behaves. Thanks for watching.